Hello and welcome again to another chapter in The Secret in the Old Attic by Carolyn Keene, a Nancy Drew mystery story. Today we're going to be reading chapter number 14. And our permission that we're required to show you. All right, let's go ahead and get started with chapter 14, titled Warning. With sinking heart, Nancy realized she must play her part convincingly if she expected to keep out of trouble. Your sudden disappearance from Mr. Dight's office the other day disturbed him very much, Miss Jones continued. Nancy pretended not to understand. My disappearance? Why, didn't Mr. Dight think that when I left his office I was going home? Well, apparently he didn't. He thought you went off somewhere in the factory. Well, no wonder you were concerned. I'll tell Mr. Dight you're here, the young woman said, standing up. In a moment, she returned to say that he would see Nancy in his private office. The factory owner sat at his desk, writing. For several seconds, he kept on, paying no attention to the young visitor. Finally, he looked up. Well, he barked, trying to place Nancy on the defensive. Did you learn what you were sent here for? Nancy knew that Mr. Dight suspected she had been assigned by someone, perhaps her father, to spy on him, but she pretended otherwise. Oh, you mean about the bottle, she said brightly. I'm sorry I ran off that way, I did. But I saw someone in the courtyard I thought I knew. Then it was so late I decided just to go on home. Lawrence Dight gazed quizzically at Nancy. And did you go directly home from here? He questioned sharply. Nancy was not to be trapped so easily. Well, you know how it is, she laughed. I didn't mean to worry anyone, but I stopped to see some friends. I'll confess I didn't get home until rather late. Our housekeeper was quite upset. I can imagine, replied Mr. Dight. The man believed Nancy's story. She figured he had decided that the light in the laboratory must have been left on by one of the workmen in the plant. But she had found nothing out of order. He had apparently not even seen the Black Widow Nancy had killed. Leaning back in his swivel chair, Mr. Dight suddenly relaxed. In a friendly tone, he began to discuss Mr. March's collection of bottles. I've taken quite a fancy to some of that glassware. Now, if you'll name your price, young lady, perhaps we can do some business. Well, the blue bottle was actually intended as a gift. I'll buy the others. Suppose I offer you $35 for the entire collection. Nancy's face fell. She had expected Mr. Dight to make a low offer, but certainly not one under $100. Only 35, she said. Oh, I couldn't sell him for that. I might make it 50, Mr. Dight said. You're a friend of Diane, so I'll throw in the extra $15 for good measure. Nancy arose, glad of an excuse to withdraw in good grace. I couldn't think of letting friendship influence me in this transaction, Mr. Dight, because I'm selling the bottles for someone else. I don't believe the person will be willing to part with them for $35. I'll pay you 50, but not a cent more. I'll find out if that's satisfactory, Nancy said, standing firm. She had already decided to consult Mr. Faber, the antique dealer. May I please have the bottles back? Obviously, unwilling to let the fine collection out of his possession, Mr. Dight raised his price another $10. When Nancy would not sell them, he reluctantly returned the box of glassware. Nancy gave a sigh of relief as she got into her car. She hoped never to have to face Lawrence Dight again. She drove directly to Mr. Faber's shop and carried the glassware into the quaint little place. The owner was there. Well, well, he said, and what have you brought me this time? Some old bottles. I'd like you to tell me what they're worth. As Nancy lined them up on the counter, Mr. Faber's blue eyes began to sparkle. These bottles are old and fine, he exclaimed, appraising them as a glance. I'll pay you a very good price for them. Now, friendship mustn't enter into this, Nancy said. Tell me frankly, are the bottles worth more than $50? I'll pay you double that amount gladly. If you're in no hurry for the money, perhaps I can sell them to a collector who will pay an even higher price. The bottles are yours to do with as you wish, Nancy decided instantly. Perhaps so you better write a check now for $100 to Mr. Philip March. Let me know if you manage to sell them for more later. You are always busy helping someone, Mr. Faber beamed at the girl as he handed her her check. At home, Nancy found a telegram awaiting her. It was from Mr. Jenner, the music publisher. The message both disappointed and annoyed her. The man informed her that she had made a great mistake in assuming the songs he had published had been stolen. Further accusations will lead to a libel suit, Nancy was warned. Advise you pursue matter no further, otherwise expect immediate action against you. Nancy was not fooled by the threat. He's frightened, he's just trying to scare me, she thought. Mr. Jenner, Ben Banks, and Harry Hall must be closely associated. I must find some proof that Phipp wrote those songs, and soon. Bess and George had decided to go back to Pleasant Hedges for the night, so the three girls drove out there after an early supper. They found Mr. March following his usual custom of relating stories to his little grandchild. When Susan had been tucked in, Nancy told him of her plan to watch the house from outside that evening, hoping to catch the mysterious intruder. Mr. March was concerned. I don't know that I should let you do this, he said. It's very risky. 3 of us girls ought to be able to handle one man, George boasted. Nancy assured the owner of Pleasant Hedges that they would take no unnecessary chances. She had suggested that the 3 of them wear dark dresses and cover their hair with black kerchiefs. When they left the house and took the separate posts which Nancy had assigned, they seemed to be only ghostly shadows. Within the house, life went on in the usual routine. Effie cleared away the supper dishes and went upstairs. Mr. March seated himself in the living room to listen to the radio for clues to any other songs stolen from his son. Finally, he turned off the radio, put out the light, and climbed the stairs to the 2nd floor. Nancy and the other girls shifted their positions in the darkness outside. There had been no sign of a trespasser. It had been decided that if no one appeared by dawn, the chances were that nobody would. Then the 3 girls were to give up the watch. From somewhere in the old mansion, a clock began to strike, breaking the stillness of the night. Nancy, posted near the old servants' quarters, counted 11. From a distance, though, came another sound. Something was stirring. Nancy stood, listening intently. She was puzzled. One moment she thought she heard a soft noise, as if someone were sneaking among the pine trees toward the house. The next minute she was sure light footsteps were approaching from the front of the mansion. Maybe the thief has someone that they're working with, she said to herself. There was no doubt about it. 2 figures were coming nearer, and Nancy held her breath. And that's the end of chapter 14. Join me again when we'll continue to read The Secret in the Old Attic by Carolyn Keene.